Pleasure as always to welcome Ratanjit Sunday to our show this morning. Hello, Ratanjit. How are you?
Well, thank you, Ray. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. We are again on our Zoom format, and we anticipate that we will have a number of members that will be joining us on our Zoom call. And this also goes out over the airwaves, of course, so you can be listening to us on the radio or on your streaming at wintradio.com. Ratanjit, you normally pick the topics. You very often think about this in advance and say, I would love to talk about this or that, and we share ideas. But today I wanted to pick this one, and it's because friendships are very important to me. And I am fortunate that I have some very close friends that mean a lot to me. But as I look around at my own situation, I realize that some of the friendships that used to be important, that I used to highly value, suddenly have become more distant, even to the point of saying that we no longer really are friends. Because when you fall out of touch with people for a number of years, you have to say, I guess you're not friends anymore. And I see that in other people too. I see that at various levels, that as we go through life and we supposedly win in life, we obtain success, we get a new job, we get a new relationships in life. A lot of times our friendships that were so critically important to us disappear. And so my question is, can you win at life and keep your friends? Is it possible that you can continue to have those relationships that once were so important, even at a later time in your life when things have changed around you? Or are you meant to kind of come and go with friendships? Is it kind of a fallacy that I'm living in a dreamland that says I want to keep all my friends forever?
Well, friends are a very important part of our life because in relationship we are born with. My brother I cannot change, my cousin, my grandfather, my parents I cannot change, but friends, they accept you as who you are. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be more free with the friends. You can be totally yourself with the friends. That's why we love friends. And they nurture you, because when something is hard, you can share with them. They have. So friendship is very important for our, we feel secure with friends. And but you have to go a little further than that. You are not born with friends. Suddenly they don't appear from nowhere. Friendship is cultivated. You meet somebody, you spend time with somebody, and then you share with a few things with them, and you find common interests or common things, or you enjoy each other's company, and all that makes constitute friendship. So, in short, whoever you have made a difference to, your presence makes them comfortable. Your presence, or you do things for them which is meaningful to them, you qualify to be a friend. You become friend. So friendship you cannot own. You can only be a friend. So friendship requires doing. Friendship requires, and when we anticipate from friends, which they deliver. Well, that's that a true friend is supposed to be focusing on adding value. So they see value in you. They see value in your friendship, and they are ready to bend over backward to retain that friendship. They so it's all about the value you see in that relationship, isn't it?
It is. No, everything you've said, I totally agree with. I'd like to bounce you back to one of your earlier things, though, that that I really never thought of. I know that I choose friends. I mean, everybody chooses their friends. That's an obvious statement.
Right.
But I really didn't think about the fact that there's value in them choosing me.
Yes.
Okay, there's a certain power maybe that somebody feels when somebody chooses them to be their friend. Maybe it's a gratification. Maybe it's an endorsement that they're a good person. If somebody likes me, somebody chooses me to be a friend. So just kind of in the action of that, even if you temporarily put aside the friendship itself and the value of the friendship, there's something to be said when somebody tells you they want to be your friend.
Right.
There's a fulfillment, a validation, an endorsement that I must be okay. I, you know, I'm
There's a saying, when you become rich and famous, there are a lot of friends who want to be your friends. So,
right,
so
right.
suddenly their association with you, they can say, hey, Ray is my friend.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
because Ray is now gotten a Nobel Prize or something big. Oh,
He's
so
my
that
friend.
is,
Yeah,
yeah. So generally your uh, status, your situation, if you are, so when we select a friend, we select for personal reasons, that this is going to add value to me, or my status is going to be elevated, and or it that person simply gives me comfort when I'm around that person. And so these are all personal reasons.
yeah.
Nobody picks up a friend uh, out of the blue just want to be a friend.
There, I don't know. It's crazy here what we're talking about because it's almost making a friendship like a
Ray,
selfish act. It's almost really, I'm thinking almost as being selfish. I need a fulfillment. I need someone to validate me. I need someone that I can use to make me feel good. So I'm going to find a friend. I'm going to make you my friend. And that's kind of crazy because I always thought of friendship as being a bond between two people that is, very special. I have always elevated a friendship. And yet it seems like maybe it starts in a selfish way, in a very selfish way to find someone that will accept me as maybe I'm feeling down and blue and I found a friend that will accept me that way. So it raises me.
yes. Well, all our new relationships, see, what we call as a closest family member. Who is your closest family member? Your spouse.
Hmm.
And he or she is not even related to you. It is all based on true friendship. If you are not able to be friends, you are not able to be comfortable with your spouse, you're not able to share everything with the spouse, and what we call as love, it may be a physical attraction at one point, or many of these relationships are also formed that I will be better with this person. He has more money, he's more, or she is more beautiful or handsome, or so those are the reasons we initially get attracted. And then when we live with them, and many of these relationships don't go further because you don't really add value to each other. You are not really, so all your long-term relationship, whether it is with your spouse or with your friend or even with the family members, although you will call somebody your cousin, but you don't have close relationship with them because you don't see as a value adding entity, or you don't see any benefit from them. So the thing is this, that receiving benefit from others basically is incentivized by your pleasure mode. somebody is giving you gift, somebody is making you feel good. So they are all uh, evaluated by your five senses. So they remain in the pleasure mode. But when you become a friend, when you add value to somebody else by not being getting anything from them or not getting in their better books or something, because that becomes your second nature, that you begin to enjoy adding value. And that enjoyment is joy. The two things, one is a pleasure based mode, other is a joy based mode. Now, both will give you friendship, both, but the pleasure mode is only going to remain uh, active if we feel that you are getting something from them, if their association is still beneficial to you. If that becomes, if you are not able to utilize somebody and there's no value for them, slowly that friendship dies. You don't call them, you don't connect with them until their connection with you, you're hearing their voice with you, or they have something very positive to say with you, it makes you feel better. That friendship remains. Again, that is all gaining something from them, whether it is gaining material things or gaining emotional things. So that is how, but when you are in the mode of giving, when you are in the mode of adding value, and you are in the mode of enjoying adding value, it gives you joy to add value, then you become a value adding entity. People would always be your friends.
So
So,
I want to, if we can, I want to move, I want to focus on the first half of what you said, which is kind of like where we are at now. I do want to definitely in the show, I do want to talk about how to be a better friend
right.
and how to add value to the friendships, and that's eventually where we want to go. But I still want to understand, and I have to believe that there's many listeners too that would like to understand the first half of that, because we've been in friendships, whether it's 10 years or 100 years, we've been in friendships, we've been in these relationships, and I don't know if we've really thought about them the way that we're talking about them now. The What I said a few minutes ago was that I almost feel like friendships are selfish because I am looking for friends to make me feel better, to, as you said, almost to utilize them, okay, for a certain role in my life that I need. And so, from that perspective, it a little bit diminishes the idea of a friendship in terms of the beauty and the wonder of it. But then as I also think about it, my so-called friend is doing the same thing to me.
Yes.
I mean, if I didn't add some value to them, if they weren't utilizing me, and if it wasn't beneficial, then there wouldn't be a friendship. So it is a mutual act. If I hate to put it this way, but I'm going to for a fact here. It's a mutual act of selfishness on both sides, because I want to be your friend because you'll do this and this for me. I'll use these aspects of the friendship to my benefit, and you'll use these aspects of the friendship for your benefit, and therefore we're going to be friends. There isn't a lot of beauty and nobility in that, and integrity in that. It's you always refer to trades. You always talk about life being trades, and really, in many ways, friendships are nothing more than trading partners, business partners, trading what each other needs in their life.
See, a human being belongs to a cult without knowing. It's called utilitarianism.
Hmm.
So we whatever we can utilize, we keep. Whatever we cannot utilize has no value for us.
Yeah.
And that even goes to our human body. If my hand is doesn't add value, it just is going to is infected and is going to infect my whole body. I remove my hand, cut my hand, because that's how the nature works. So utility is at the core of this thing. Whatever adds value to me, whatever I can utilize, I keep. So, but there is the other side of this, which we are going to talk about later
Yeah.
on.
When we come back from a break, which we're going to go to in just a moment here, but I still want to kind of drive this thought in my brain, understanding utilitarianism, great word. It does explain probably maybe one of the biggest reasons why friendships go away is when people find a new friend or when they get married, because that new bigger, better relationship suddenly means that some of my old friends, there wasn't as much value there anymore. There wasn't a your usefulness is over now, because now I have a husband or a wife, or now I have this bigger, better friend, so I don't need you anymore. And so that explains in a real simplistic way why a lot of friendships do go away.
Yes.
Because they were your usefulness is done, which is really sad for the concept of what a friendship is supposed to mean and what a friendship is supposed to give. Because if you've replaced your friends on a regular basis, then you probably weren't really friends in the first place.
And then what happens is suddenly you drifted away from a friend, and then you came to know after 10 years that the friend you drifted away from is now somebody. So now you want to resurrect your relationship. Hey, I'm your old friend. You forgot me.
Yeah.
Right?
See, that's when what you said earlier, because somebody won a Nobel Prize, now you come back and say, oh yeah, they're my friend. They're my friend. Okay. Yeah. Even though
we went
really
to
hasn't been a
class,
friendship
went to high school together, and went to
right.
dig out all the possible relationship, and then say, "Hey, I saved you when this happened, and this I thought we forgot that." So you
Yeah,
remind.
right. Yeah, remember I did this when we were little kids, and you were stuck in the tree. Yeah. So and that's something how utilitarianism. So that's based on keeping things we want to use and discarding things that we no longer think
has value.
Has value to us. All right. Well, we're going to come back in just a moment and talk more about this utilitarianism, because I think we've just changed the definition of friendship. We shouldn't really talk about friendships. We should talk about utilitarianistic actions in our life, because that's what it appears that most of our friendships probably are. Let's see if we can advance those. Maybe we can evolve those into meaningful friendships, and let's find out what it takes to do that.
Yes.
This is Stress-Free Living. Are your friendships or your lost friendships causing you stress? That's what we're hoping to resolve here today. We'll be back in just a moment. Okay. Interesting. Gosh, we have blown apart the myth of friendships. Maybe that should have been the title. Destroying the myth of friendship. Most of our friendships haven't been friendships.
Is friendship only a myth?
Friendship only a myth, right? Maybe that's the theme. Maybe that's the title that you should use for many of these things. We should take many of the things that we value. I mean, friendships are, we elevate that concept. We have a very high position for the word friendships. That's something that means a lot to us. And we basically just debunked that theory completely, that, they're nothing more than using each other.
So if you want to test your friendship, buy a lottery ticket will win you $100 million and you will lose every single friend.
Wait a minute, what? Say that again?
If you won a lottery
Yeah.
of $100 million,
Then you'll lose the friends?
you lose all the friends.
I would think I would have 100 million of them.
No, but because their now expectation from you is so high, you can never live up. You never live up to that.
Use that example in the show. You'll have to say that live, because I would think it would be just the opposite of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Save that one.
And that's true. The fact is, many of these people who win lottery
This is Stress-Free Living. Ratanjit and Ray coming to you today as we're discussing friendship. And as Ratanjit and I were just talking about during the break, is it almost a myth? The friendship that most people value so highly, is that concept even a myth? Because it's based on perhaps utilitarianism, just using what we want from each other and then casting them off when we no longer use that person. That is, I hate to say, but it's a little depressing, Ratanjit, to think about that, because we esteem our friendships. The concept that somebody likes me and I like somebody can be really, really empowering, and it can be, a beautiful fulfillment of our being. To think that many of them, if not all of them, were based on just using each other is kind of harsh.
Yeah, there is a statistics. You can Google it. When a person wins a lottery, big lottery,
Yeah,
$10 million, $50 million, or $100 million, eventually, now it doesn't happen with everyone, but majority of them ends up eventually filing for bankruptcy, and they eventually lose every friend they have, because expectation of friends has gone so high now, because in their mind that this person has gotten free money, lottery, and this should be able to do more things for them. So all your financial requirement, they go to him and say, John, can you loan me this much money? I need to do this. And eventually, John, if he does loan some money, it never is enough, and eventually that thing results into breaking of friendship, and because they have never managed that kind of money before, they have a perception that this is, they won a lot of money, so there's unlimited money. They start throwing money at wrong things, and then there are people who are going to help them make even double their money and all that, make into wrong investments. So they end up losing everything. They end up filing for bankruptcy and lose all the friends.
What I think that points out is that, let's say a typical friendship starts in grade school and two people are pretty much at the same level. They pretty much have the same things that they can give to each other in exchange. Yep. So, whatever that is, they're pretty much at the same, and that can continue through high school and college and everything else. But if one person does become very successful, whether it's winning a lottery or whether it's suddenly, getting a job that pays them $300,000 a year, Now, one of those friends that didn't achieve that success says, well, I'm kind of entitled to some of that, okay, because we're friends. So, hey, will you give me enough that I can get a new car? Okay, you get, you, like you said in your lottery, you just won $10 million. We're friends. Just give me enough for a car. That's not unreasonable. But the person who won that $10 million is suddenly saying, well, gee, why should I give you $10 million? I mean, why should I give you a car? I won this, you didn't win this. And you can see how those kinds of disconnects can hurt that relationship, hurt that friendship, destroy that friendship. But what really destroyed it was that they were using each other when they were at the same level.
Right.
But now the person who won the $10 million, he doesn't need those same things from that other guy anymore. It's a one-sided friendship.
Right.
And then the guy that won the 10 million, he's thinking, I can't believe you have the audacity to ask me for a car. And, so we're really not friends anymore anyway, the way he's going to be responding. So you can just see how those destroy that whole friendship, that situation, because again, it wasn't pure. It wasn't there for the right reasons up front. Right. This is, again, we're taking something, you and I have talked about a lot of topics, and along the way you have clarified or put things in different perspective. But this maybe is one of the few times where you've taken something that I kind of consider sacred. I think that's probably a good word. Friendships to me have been a sacred thing. Maybe even that you don't understand them. There's almost a mythology to them. I don't know why they work, but there's just certain people that get along and become lifelong friends, and other people can't. And so I always kind of thought that was a very special place. But we've broken that down now to being something very disingenuous, I guess, is maybe the way. What do you think?
Well, see, fundamentally, Ray, you can never have friends. You can only be a friend. Think about this. My having a friend means I have ownership of friends. Oh, is there. So you have to earn a friendship, means you can be a friend. And if you become a value-adding entity, you will have a lot of friends. And they will reciprocate once in a while, and they will add value. They would, but the thing is, if you are creating friendship, if you are starved for friendship and you will do anything to get friends, you are going to be disappointed. If you park yourself in highest value adding mindset, you begin to enjoy adding value, regardless of what comes back to you. Then that enjoyment is going to create a lot of friends around you because you have become a value-adding entity. And you are not really looking for friends. You are simply a value-adding entity. You enjoy adding value. So see, when I get things which are experienced by five senses, they are in the pleasure mode. So if you experience things which give you inner satisfaction, that is in the joy mode. The real you, when it experiences something which is great, as a joy. So you should become thankful for them for giving you opportunity to experience that joy. Only in that mode you can have true friends. But again, you cannot have friends, you can only be a friend.
So I get that, but let's talk about having friends, because that's how we usually operate.
Right.
And mutually, both friends in the group have each other as a friend, and they
That is a
count.
reciprocating mode. You be my
Yes,
friend, I'll be your friend. It's
right,
like you love me, I love you. You
right.
stop loving me, so I cannot live with you.
Yeah, and we hang around together. Okay, so I'm not alone. I don't have to go to an event alone because I have a friend and he goes or she goes with me. And if I'm disappointed or if I'm upset about something, I have somebody that I can call and I can talk to about it, make me feel better, and vice versa. I'm there for them, which makes, when my friend needs me to comfort them, I do that not only to comfort them, but to feel better about myself because I've just done a good thing. And so I feel good about that.
And
So,
then also there is a category of friends. I have friends I play cards with. I have friends who I play basketball or tennis or something. They're playing friends,
right,
or they are friends who I discuss financial issues because they have expertise of that. So each friend has certain utility for me.
right,
So I
exactly.
categorize them.
Yeah.
They're
And,
not.
and, and the very nature that it lasts is because there is that mutual benefit,
Yes.
the mutual utility of each other to each other.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so I mean, and you just said it. If four people are playing cards together and they need four people to play cards, all four of them have each other as a friend, and it's a mutually beneficial friendship. And so, what's really funny about that, I've been in some of those things with guys, especially. Maybe it's the same thing for girls, but if four guys are getting together to play basketball every week, and one of them suddenly stops coming, he's the bad guy. Okay, we can't believe that he's no longer playing with us, and they really abuse him. They physically or mentally abuse him, emotionally abuse him to say, you let us down. You're not a true friend, just because his utility to them has been reduced. He's no longer that fourth person that they needed to play the game. You know, I mean, again, we're really understanding that most friendships are not true. They're not bringing us joy because they're just an opportunity to use each other. I mean, it's kind of sad, but true, as all these examples that we brought up here today.
So
So,
differentiate between joy and pleasure, Ray. It is because we have done that many times, but for new listeners who say, what are you talking about? Joy and pleasure is the same thing.
yeah,
Pleasure is experienced by our five senses. It's always going to be, it has a narrow window. It's like a pleasure of eating good food. So when you are starved, that food is amazing. But if you keep on eating, it'll convert into pain. So pleasures have a narrow window and they are always experienced by our five senses. What looks good, what tastes good, what feels good. And so, but the joy is experienced beyond five senses. It's experienced by your soul, experienced by your inner self. And it is only available to you by giving to somebody. Nobody can give you joy. Everybody can give you pleasure. To experience joy with someone, you have to do something for them. And that has to be done unconditionally. That is where the joy is parked. So once you experience that mode of joy and you become addicted to it, and you begin to add the highest value because that is what brings you joy. And you need people to experience that. And that is why you become a friendship material. A lot of people are not friendship material because they are parked in utilitarian mindset And to get out of the utilitarian mindset is to get into adding the highest value unconditionally, not conditionally.
See, that's the big discerning point, because even when you say you can't really have friends, you can only be a friend, and that's a beautiful quote. But even there, many people might say, and including me, might say, "Well, gee, I can be a better friend. Then I'm going to give more to this relationship. I'm going to be kinder. I'm going to be more fun, or I'm going to buy dinner, spend more money in the friendship, or whatever." But so I can be a better friend with doing those things. But if the intent is only because I want to get a deeper friendship, I want to provide more value in terms of benefiting me because I'll be able to retain the friendship more, or I'll be able to add more friends by doing these things, then that still doesn't bring any joy, because it's still just another elevation of the trade.
Yes.
It's okay. It's just saying, and let's use the money thing. Okay. So I'm going to be a better friend by I'll be the one to buy food. I'll be the one to buy the tickets to the shows. I'll be the one to spend the money on the gas and drive us around. So I'm being a better friend. Okay. But I'm doing it for selfish reasons. I'm doing it with conditions. I'm doing it because I'm trying to strengthen the friendship, because I want you to be my friend. So I'm willing to spend the money on you so that you're my friend, so I get this fulfillment, not unconditionally, that just says I'm trying to add value and be a better person and do something that makes a difference in your life. There is a distinction that goes beyond being a friend. It actually says being a friend unconditionally.
Yeah, but a lot of people are going to say, Ratanjit, I've added value unconditionally, and people don't appreciate it. That is not unconditionally.
You're right.
You have put condition. They need to appreciate it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I did all of this and they never even thanked me. Well,
Yeah, they didn't thank me. So this thought process of understanding unconditional is very complicated.
yes, it
It has
is.
to come through you. It has to give you joy by doing something. So now example of that is a mother. Mother does so many things for the baby. Baby does many times, even at that early age, can't even say thank you, mom.
Right.
And even later on, it just expect mom to do these things. But mom enjoys it because that gives her joy. Until the joy, and the same thing when you are in love, true love, or so-called love, you do things for your person you love.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out of you. You're not doing to please you. You're doing to please yourself in one sense, because it gives you satisfaction. It gives you, and then when you are away from that loved one and you are enjoying a beautiful uh, meal at a restaurant, the first thing is, I wish she was here with me or he was here with me, because they would enjoy this,
And share this. Yeah.
share this.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so until you are in that mode of adding unconditional value, but see, you can fall in love with your friends. How? Because when you begin to realize that you are not loved with this human body, human behavior. You are in love with what empowers the human body. The enlivening power present in each human being is the ultimate divine power. And you are serving that divine power. You are in love with that divine power. And that divine power exists in every living being. So anybody who is coming to you is your friend, because that person has the same enlivening power, and your joy comes from serving that power by adding the highest value. So your life purpose and mission becomes serving the divine, serving your God. But you cannot serve your God in church or temple or mosque or gurdwara or any of these places. That is where you learn where God is. The presence of God, the closest thing to that, serving the divine power, is serving the human or living beings which are created by infusing that living power of God within them. So that is the closest thing you can come to serving your Lord. And that is who are in love with. And that is how your true friendship comes about.
Powerful words that we need to talk further about and understand so that we can take what almost sounds like a utopian world and actually say, no, we can do that. We can live in that perfect joy, perfect beauty, perfect love that you just shared. We'll come back and talk about that. We've got a few minutes left on this edition of Stress-Free Living. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right, we've got some guests that have joined us. You guys know the deal. We got a couple minutes. Any thoughts?
Well, there's always thoughts about that one. Hi, Dad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I've got my little spiritual daughter here with me.
Yes.
And I brought her in to listen to the conversation. I tell her how great you are. But yeah, and we were just talking about that this morning. So funny about not just friends, but family and different people. When you grow and change and develop, and it could be different than how they're growing, or it could be monetary gain. It could be just all manner of gain. And sometimes it does tend to separate the relationships. Like, why is that? Like, why is it that when you start to win, whether it's financially or spiritually or in whatever way, that changes the dynamic a lot of times with relationships? Why is that?
So you missed the beginning of it, so we kind of get into it. But I tell you what, we will come back and summarize that again, review that again.
Well, I guess the next question was, what do you do with it then? What do you do with it? Do you maintain those relationships or do you let them go?
Okay, we'll come back and we'll include that for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, Prakash? I think we have 30 seconds or so. Do you have any quick thoughts?
Prakash he's muted.
Uh-oh.
Let's not entertain because you don't have
Okay,
enough.
we probably don't have time anyway. What do we have time, Jake? Last spot? Yeah, 10 seconds, about 20 seconds. We're not hearing you, but that's okay. We can talk at the end a little bit.
Ray, you haven't aged.
Oh, yes, I have.
No, you look good.
Oh, you're kind.
Sorry, I was not able to connect earlier, so I was late.
And we're back on Stress-Free Living. Ratanjit and Ray Sandwich with you today, and we've been joined by a number of our Zoom guests. It's always wonderful to see their beautiful faces, smiling faces here today, as always. And we welcome all of you, whether you're joining us on radio or the stream. We can't see your faces, but we know that you're there. Ratanjit, before we advance that last thought that you had, let's go back and summarize a little bit on some of the real basic things that we've talked about earlier today that were at the core reason why I asked you to do this topic is because friendships that we have at a younger age, sometimes they seem so strong and so powerful and so permanent. And then something happens where one person is more successful, they get a better job, they start making more money, they enter a new relationship, maybe they get married, whatever it is, something happens that is a good thing for one of the people in the friendship. And very often that ends up ending the relationship. It ends up ending the friendship that was seemingly so strong. And we have talked about that. But if you wanted to summarize that perhaps in a few words, it kind of goes back to the fact that the two of them were using each other, sadly, for what they could get out of that relationship. And then there was no longer a need to do that, right? Because something else came in that kind of replaced it. Can you go back and summarize that a little better than I did?
Yeah, but see, it is all about utility. It's like supposing your Mary Jo says, Ray, your wife says, Ray, I like beard and long hair. Don't cut your beard anymore. So suddenly the razor you are using has no utility. Your son comes and says, Dad, you are not utilizing it. Can I have it? They say, yeah, you can have it. So the same thing we do with our friends. When the utility goes away, there's no need to have friends. So to begin with, we misunderstood what was friendship. Friendship is all about our need to add value. You need people around you where you can add value to. So you have to be grateful that you have opportunity to add value. And it is only then you have long-term relationships because you are a value-adding entity. You don't add value, we are just value-adding entity. It's like we love. Instead of loving, become love. Whatever comes out of you is love. And then only it becomes unconditional, because ultimately you are here to serve the divine power. You are here to serve that divine power which is present in everyone you come across. So a person who you have known for 20 years is almost exactly the same as the person who you just met, because your intent is the same to add the highest value. So you are no longer categorizing an old friend or a new friend. You are basically serving them at your best capabilities, and you're constantly learning new ways to serve them. So ultimately, it is not about a database. So look how many friends I have. I have 50 friends. I have 20 millionaire friends. I have 40 billionaire friends. So that is all ego-based bragging. The real friend is the person who you are able to add value. Not that that person adds value to you.
So the way that many of us have had friendships has been that we found people that we had this relationship with, that I did something good for you, they did something good for me. We hung out together. We confided in each other. We comforted each other when we needed each other's compassion and love and sympathy, whatever it was that we needed. We had this utilitarianism approach that says, I'm going to use you for this and you're going to use me for that, and we're both okay with it.
Yes.
And that's
how friends are for. That's how the friendship, they say that friends are for. Otherwise,
right.
why do I need friends if I cannot utilize them, right?
I
we openly say that.
We do, and it's kind of a debunking a myth that is sacred to a lot of people. I mean, friendship is so sacred, and yet we've just basically said it's two people using each other. I mean, basically that's what it is, and they're both okay with that. They're both, I know I'm being used, and I know that I'm using you, and it's okay because we're friends, and we're doing that. But when that no longer serves its purpose, when something happens in life, and again, one person wins or whatever, or one person evolves, changes, um, forms new relationships, gets married is an obvious change, then no longer does that old friendship have those mutual benefits, those mutual utilities, because now I have somebody else who comforts me. Now I have somebody else who I spend time with. And so I guess, the friendships that I should be sad about losing are the ones that really were true friendships, not the ones that were based on just using each other.
No, you
But
can't lose friends, Ray, because you never had them. How can you lose friends when you never had them? It was an arrangement. The only way to have friends is be a friend. We have to become friends. We have to be friendship material. In other words, to become a friendship material, you have to have a mindset of unconditionally helping, unconditionally making a difference to people. And whoever comes across, and not keep a count of that I have done that so many times to this person. He has not thanked me, because that is not unconditional. And that, to go there, you have to awaken your conscience, you have to awaken your inner self, which allows you to feel the joy. The feeling of joy is not parked in five senses. That is only pleasure. So to experience joy, you have to discover who you are. The real you only wants to make a difference. Otherwise, you are going to be, regardless of how much money you have, how much fame you have, how many friends you have, you will still feel lonely. Why? And still, a lot of people under those circumstances even go to the extent of taking their own lives, because they have not awakened the real self, which is sleeping, is in a coma. The real self is where the divine power is parked. And the real self has only one motive: to add value unconditionally to whoever comes across. And once you are in that mission, then every moment of life is an euphoria. You begin to enjoy life, and you are not counting whether somebody is giving you thanks, somebody is returning that favor you did in return.
so as soon as we keep score, then we know that that's not a legitimate friendship. As soon as we keep track of how many things were thanked us, they thanked us for, or how many things we did that were good or whatever. As soon as we keep score on that, then we've destroyed the chance of that being a pure, joy-filled friendship.
Yeah.
We have to only be concerned about the actions that we take on our side, and that's the only place that we're going to get the joy. Is that
Absolutely.
fair? All right, Ratanjit, we are out of time here, but boy, I tell you, you have given me a whole different, brand new perspective on what friendship really means and how we can be friends and win friends, if you will, by being unconditionally pure and loving and adding the highest value. We thank you so much for sharing your love and your thoughts with us today.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you so much for being with us for this edition of Stress Free Living. We look forward to being back with you again very, very soon. Remember, folks, we're all playing the same game. Have a great day.